Hello, I'm Jill Goldsmith, the Chatham Town Manager, and I want to welcome you to a special Channel 18 special report on a very important issue to the town of Chatham. Next to me is Dr. Bob Duncanson, who's our Director of Natural Resources. And today we want to highlight an issue that's very much in the news and also very important to the town related to our coastal and natural resources. It relates to the Monomoy National Refuge and Wildlife, the western boundary area. And I'm going to turn it over to Bob to talk a little bit about why is this so important to the town of Chatham.
Well, thanks, Jill. The Monomoy National Wildlife Refuge has been in existence since 1944. And over that time, the town and the Fish and Wildlife Service have managed the area cooperatively and preserved the resources for the benefit of all the citizens of Chatham, as well as the benefit of all the citizens of the United States as well. Up until recently, we've had a great relationship with the Fish and Wildlife Service. We continue to have a good relationship with the Fish and Wildlife Service. But recently there's a dispute that's arisen over just how far the refuge boundary is. How far does Fish and Wildlife Service have jurisdiction? In a recent comprehensive conservation management plan that was finished last year, the Fish and Wildlife Service has said they basically have management authority over the open waters and submerged lands to the west of Monomoy. That's new. Prior to that, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the state, and the town of Chatham have managed that area in terms of fishing, shell fishing, boating activities. The Fish and Wildlife Service really has never done that before, and so the fact that they're now claiming authority over that and potentially putting in rules and regulations that may affect the public's use of that area is of great concern to the town. We've looked at this issue along with the Commonwealth. We've taken a look at the historical documents going back all the way to the 1920s and 30s when there was discussion about creation of the Monomoy Refuge. And those documents all refer to roughly 3,000 acres, which was primarily the upland area of Monomoy and in today's situation, North Monomoy and South Monomoy, because the island split back in the 1970s. There's almost no mention, or no mention at all, of the Fish and Wildlife Service taking jurisdiction or management authority over the open waters and submerged lands to the west of the island. That really didn't come about until roughly the mid-2000s when they were starting to work on their CCP. We had monthly conference calls between town staff and some staff at the Fish and Wildlife Service. And during one of those conference calls, they mentioned the fact that they were going to start looking at managing that open water area and submerged lands. And we indicated to them that was going to be problematic because that was something they'd never done before. And it was of great concern to the community. It kind of got quiet after that. There were delays in Fish and Wildlife Service finishing up the CCP, and so it wasn't until 2015 when the first draft of the CCP came out that they actually had language in there basically exerting their authority over the open waters and submerged lands to the west of the island. And that became a major issue for the town of Chatham as well as the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Both organizations submitted lengthy legal briefs as part of the comment period, not necessarily legal briefs, but basically substantial legal documentation of our position, as well as the Commonwealth of Massachusetts position during the draft period of the plan and when they were holding public hearings in the comment period. And so we were very surprised when the final plan came out this year and no change was made. The Fish and Wildlife Service continues to exert their management authority, their regulatory authority over those open waters and submerged lands. And so that's why we're where we are today. The town remains very concerned about that. And basically, we see two options, or the town sees two options along with the Commonwealth to address that. One of those options is a legal challenge. Obviously not anybody's first choice because legal challenges are very time-consuming and expensive for all parties involved, the town, the state, and the federal government. The other option, which looked more attractive to the town and the state, was to seek a legislative resolution that the western boundary of the Monomoy National Wildlife Refuge was mean low water, and that a line that extends further to the west was really there to indicate that as Monomoy, as an island, migrates to the west over time, which it does, that as long as the lands, the upland areas, anything above mean low water was within that boundary, that was part of the refuge. And that's pretty clear based on the town's analysis of the original 1944 documents, as well as the state's analysis. And so we've asked our Congressman Keating to file legislation to basically reaffirm that original intent from 1944. But unfortunately, there are organizations out there that are now accusing the town of trying to cut the Monomoy Refuge in half, which the town would never consider doing. And that's not the position of the town at all. We just want to clarify that the boundary is in fact mean low water.
So this is a really good point to introduce what Chatham looks like. So how would you explain Chatham and its miles of coastline to, say, someone who's watching from Minnesota who might be interested in the U.S. Department of Interior maintaining the boundary, although we're contesting it, but why don't we give a little introduction to who and what Chatham is?
Sure. Chatham is at the southeast corner of Cape Cod. We're at the elbow of Cape Cod, as we call it here locally. Chatham is a seaside community, has been since its inception. We're surrounded on three sides by water. We have approximately 66 miles of coastline, more or less, depending on what Mother Nature is doing with the barrier beaches. But the sea and the coastline has been part of Chatham for generations. Chatham was really founded in many respects as a fishing community, and well as a community of people who go shell fishing and enjoy the seafront and all it has to offer. So it's always been critical to the makeup of Chatham, as well as it provides the economic lifeline and lifeblood for many individual residents in town who make their living from the sea, either as fishermen, shell fishermen, boaters, and other water-related activities. And it's just been such an integral part of Chatham. We have miles of beaches that the town takes care of for the enjoyment of visitors who come here from all over the world. I frequently joke when I'm giving presentations, and I ask how many people in the audience come here for the mountains. Nobody raises their hands. They all come to Chatham because we are a seaside community. They want to go fishing. They want to go boating. They want to go sailing. They want to go bird watching. They want to do all those things that you can do along the shoreline. And so over the years, Chatham has put a lot of time, resources, and money into protecting and preserving the public's ability to do that. We maintain multiple harbors. We maintain multiple public waterfront infrastructure so people can access those areas. We provide a lot of public beaches, guarded and unguarded, so people can enjoy them in various stages. Some people like to go to beaches that have a lot of facilities and whatnot and lifeguards. Other people want to go to beaches that are more remote, where they can just enjoy the solitude of the scenery and the experience. And Chatham's done that for generations and wants to continue to do that for generations.
And this has been the one issue that's really unified the town, and the support for the town having say in the management of the resources along with the Commonwealth, state of Massachusetts. And we've had town meetings where there's been over 500 people present to endorse various articles to support our position, as well as a number of communities and municipalities on Cape Cod and off Cape Cod, including New Bedford, as well as the governor of Massachusetts. So supporting our position that the town itself has been a great steward of this natural resource, that there is a need for clarification of the boundary. The town has absolutely not taken any land or submerged waters away from the National Wildlife and Refuge area of Monomoy. Our town is based on Monomoy tradition. We have a school district named after Monomoy. It's a very Monomoy friendly and a very tradition-oriented community, as well as spending a lot of money to improve our water quality. I'm wearing a seagrass dress. It's very important to maintain the seagrass and maintain our natural resources. So Bob, is there any other point that we should make in closing?
I think the only other thing we want people to be aware of, that maybe only seeing partial news blips or whatever, about this controversy and the fact that the town has asked for legislation. We're not suggesting that by clarifying the boundary that the protections of the resources that are adjacent to Monomoy or on Monomoy are going to be removed in any way, shape, or form. The Fish and Wildlife Service will continue to manage the upland areas of Monomoy for the protection of the migratory birds. Has been their mandate, since the 40s. And the town will continue to sustainably manage the resources in the open water and the submerged lands in concert with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, as we have done for generations. Because those resources are so vital to the economy and character of Chatham, we don't want to do anything that would put those resources at risk, either for the community, for the Commonwealth, or for the refuge.
That's a great point. And I mentioned water quality protection, but we also expend a lot of resources to protect the least terns and the piping plovers. A lot of experience, a lot of resources. And again, we're great stewards of this beautiful community of 64 miles of coastline, more or less. So the town of Chatham, if you can check our website, our Board of Selectmen have been unanimously supportive. Check the website, YouTube, for various links to get more information. And we're also asking people to write their own legislative delegation, whether it's Chatham and Cape Cod, or if you're a summer resident or summer visitor, your hometown delegation as well. This is a national issue, and it's very important to us. So thank you, Dr. Bob Duncanson, our Director of Natural Resources. And I'm Jill Goldsmith, the Chatham Town Manager. And thank you for listening to us.